TIL flushing a toilet with the lid down could reduce airborne particles by as much as 50. That's not exactly great reasoning. Sometimes, stuff is only bad for you if it's in concentrated amounts, and mitigating that concentration is a great way to prevent bad things from happening to you. Kind of like how drinking the chlorinated water from the pool might make you sick, but eating the chlorine tablets will kill you. Or like how having a little bit of food in your trash can won't be a big deal, but a lot of food spread out throughout your house will give you an ant infestation. Just because you can't resolve a problem entirely doesn't mean that there's no point in mitigating it. Okay, so here is the thing. Flushing the toilet is like an invisible feces volcano. It makes the bathroom air quality lower for a period of time, and it is gross to think about. However, what happens to love it if you put an unmeltable lid over top of it? I vacate the bathroom as soon as I flush. I don't have to deal with gross air, but I do have to sit on the seat to use the washroom. I do like to somewhat rest my back against the seat, and I do hate the idea of feces on my body and clothes. The real way to flush is to put the seat up to keep it a little safer from all that garbage. One may be for public toilets that almost always have much higher pressure flushes than standard residential toilets. 2, if this was actually a problem, people would get sick way more often. This suggests that the worst case scenario lit up, powerful flush is benign enough as it is, making the up to 50 reduction not any better than a full exposure. What I'm trying to say is that you are fine before knowing this and you'll be fine after. Chill. Coronaviruses are present in fecal matter and aerosols are generated this way. It took years for this to be accepted despite being published with SARS-1 and they just write it off as not a major source of transmission. Yet most public bathrooms don't even have lids. So if the pandemic can't get places to spend $10 per toilet, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Everyone will hate me. I figure half as many poop particles isn't much of an improvement. If people were going to experience negative outcomes from those particles, people would be constantly sick. It's gross, but probably about the same as various public surfaces. Build your immune system, do what you want with the toilet lid, and don't agonize over the poop. Airborne particles smell. Airborne particles, bacterial warships zooming towards your body and infecting you with disease. Why not have the title be flushing a toilet with the lid down could reduce odor by as much as 50? When I made this comment, I was thinking of the hypochondriacs and germaphobes that were likely triggered by such a fear-mongering title. COVID is how I learned this. In the beginning there was an article that said epidemiologists were extremely worried about it because they already had a hard enough time trying to get people to do basic things like washing their hands and putting the toilet seat down before flushing to reduce the spread of fecal matter. I've made a point to do this ever since. Just make sure if you do that, you check after to make sure everything went down. Someone at my work flushed with the lid down and it sort of clogged because of too much toilet paper and the shit was just sitting in there. It stunk up the whole vicinity and they didn't even realize they left it in there until I had the misfortune to check and found it. My entire adult life I've been teased we know when Skynet lurking is here because the toilet lid is closed. I just don't get it. 1. Why do you want an open toilet? Close that shit for aesthetics. 2. When you flush with an open lid you're literally flooding your environment with poo particles. Please be an adult and close the toilet lid. It's not hard. I've always done this. But when Mythbusters revealed that 100 of available sample toothbrushes had E. coli on them, I made it a rule in any household I lived in. Thankfully, any roommates or SOs have understood. I'm generally easy to live with, and it's not like I was asking them to leave the toilet lid up while flushing so I could bask in the sick. When my office building got remodeled they brought in brand new toilets, then realized they were in high flow and removed them and were just going to throw them away. I took them home and replaced my toilets with them, but they have no lid. It's just a seat, guess I just get all the fun particles. So 50 of the airborne particles that land on the seat and maybe a 2 feet radius around the bowl, now land on the inside of the toilet seat lid. The lid that most long-haired women's hair rests against when they sit. Germs on the floor is expected. Toilet germs on your back and hair is not. There's a lot of wishy-washy, well does it work or not? Blah blah blah. There's a very simple experiment you can do to check it yourself. Go take a super smelly crap. Close the lid. Don't flush. Go back in there a half hour later. Open the lid. Is the smell worse? Yes it is. Don't get it. It is pretty obvious. This is why they exist. Flush it with the lid up and air evacuating the bowl shoots 8 feet up. Close the lid and it is directed horizontally. Additionally, keep your toothbrush in a medicine cabinet. For the same goddamn reasons. I remember when COVID first popped up and I saw an animation of the burst of air that comes out of your toilet when you flush, and have been flushing with the lid down ever since. 100 chance I feel better regardless of the amount of poopy particles it stops. Keeping the lid down was the norm when I was growing up because there were pets and toddlers around. It became my default, and I get very annoyed when I let someone use the bathroom and find the lid up later. Is it so hard to leave a place like you found it? As long as you then take a look to make sure everything has been flushed and also not sprayed onto the inside of the lid by the flush, it's a great method. Closing the lid and making the next person be greeted by your leavings is not very classy, you know. This is why public restrooms are so dangerous. Not really. If the lid thing was a real issue, then public restrooms would be different. Think about the airport, 20 crappers in one room and no lids to be seen. Somehow, we don't just die right there. I found this out some time ago, but it didn't become important in my house till the dog suddenly realized she could help herself to the water. Since then, and the dog is now deceased, closing the lid for every flush has become just a habit we have now. What if you take massive dumps and have to flush twice for poop to make sure your sweet little pipes don't get overwhelmed? Is blasting my ass cheeks with poop particles still better than launching them into the air? Asking all this for a friend. Lol. Trying to avoid microscopic poop is a fool's game. It covers literally everything. Tiny insects live on every human being, and they all shit. Dust mites are in the air everywhere and they all shit. It's not a big deal, you'll never notice. Sorry to be gross, but aren't microscopic due to particles good for gut health? I know if someone's gut health is out of whack, they give them a healthy person's poo. Do you want things to be sanitary but not laboratory sanitary? People arguing about men needing to put the toilet seat down when they're done miss the point that you're supposed to close the lid. You also can drop something in the toilet if the lid is closed when you're not using it, or not flushing at all. If you eat your own shit and drink your own piss, not only do you reduce airborne particles nearly entirely, but you transform into a Rube Goldberg perpetual motion machine powered by shit and piss. I'm always afraid that it will start overflowing and I won't have any warning. Not that I'd be able to do anything about it. But just the idea of black water suddenly cascading up from under the lid terrifies me. My bathroom is small and the shower glass panel wall is right next to the toilet. I find it gets splattered from the toilet. If I close the lid and then flush, it's way better. Now it's just pee splatter lol. Inhaling those airborne particles helps to build up your immune system, so someday down the road when you have to kiss some ass you don't have to worry about coming down with some unknown fecal-based disease. Also, unpopular opinion, but if you use the toilet, sit down, it is shaped like a seed for that reason. Whether you're a male or female and whether you're committing a 1 or 2, is irrelevant. Sit down. If you think about it, all those particles are still gonna land on the toilet seat and next time you use it. Well, you know the rest. You gotta spray it with some type of sanitizer before every use. 50? That's it? How much do the bidet seats with the taint fans increase it? 300. Next, they'll invent a seat with an EGR system and charcoal canister that activates a vacuum when you flush. This suggests standard lid usage reduces but does not eliminate flush-related bioaerosols. Lid use changes their characteristics and apparently prolongs their residence time in room air. The toilets they use, that most studies use, are the commercial office university power flush toilets that shoot a good deal more splash everywhere, and not the subtle, low flush home ones. Your shit, and everyone's you live with is on everything in the bathroom. The sooner you accept that and realize it's probably gonna be alright, the sooner you can move on with your life. I remember years ago, John Tesh of all people doing a full court press media campaign telling people to shut the toilet lid before flushing. While you should close the lid, like most things with bacteria studies, it's the same stuff, it's everywhere. Avoid it too much or over-sanitation will make you sick more often. You mean to tell me that by restricting airflow you can restrict the distribution of airborne particles? Who could have ever predicted such a thing? This is madness. Remember that statistics works in both directions. Another way of saying this, is that flushing with the lid open could increase airborne particles by as much as 100. A school did a test because their system was intense and didn't have lids. Butcher paper on wall and dye in bowl. Spray was a bit much and the system got reworked. I fan the seat while I flush to get a more even dispersal of airborne particles. It's like the homeopathic dilution of shitting. My bathroom air has memory. Good luck when you walk into an open toilet and your immune system does not cope. Humans are meant to be exposed to bacteria. It hardens the immune system. It's 50 and it does not matter. Those particles are everywhere in your house because they are in the air. The lid is only for you psychological comfort. Is this news to people? I remember learning as a kid that toilets can splash water at your toothbrush, and I have put the lid down ever since. Y'all nasty. Microbiome is everywhere. Let your gut microbiota flourish, they say. Don't worry of contamination. The world wouldn't have existed if this was a problem. My wife, when we first met, thought I was just a sympathetic boy who would put the lid down after use. No, it's just gross as fuck to flush with it open. What about with her ass still on it like a normal person? Who's getting up before flushing? You like looking at shit? 'Cause that's how you end up looking at shit. What I do is saran wrap the entire top of the bowl and hold it in place with a giant rubber band before flushing. It reduces airborne particles by 100. I feel like this should be common knowledge. Not judgy, but mixing and swirling kicks stuff up. If I use a blender for instance, I have the lid on. People been doing this since toilets were a thing. It is part of our microbiome. If anything, it's probably worse health-wise if you worry about it. Once I saw that video that shows the particle spray, I haven't flushed a toilet with the lid up since. I don't want to be hoisted by my own petard. That's like could save you 15 or more on car insurance. 0 fits with that. 15 fits with that. 100 fits with that. It's utterly meaningless. Worrying incessantly about how many shit particles are around you is definitely worse for your health than the actual shit particles around you. Okay, but as much as 50 means either I'm not too worried about the full blast of particles or this reduction is not nearly good enough. It's great advice. I just personally have too much anxiety that it's gonna clog and I won't know till it's already spilling out of the bowl. As a kid, I thought flushing the toilet while the lid was down would make it blow up. No one told me this, I just thought that was the case.